Hey guys, Brent Hull, Wednesday design video. I want to talk about a house in Connecticut, famous house in a rural setting. Come join me. The great thing about, these rural houses in New England is that oftentimes the grounds are as important as the house. They can create as much of the magic as anything else. And so we've got this project. It's a famous house. The Rodgers and Hammerstein guy is the Rodgers, right? That he actually wrote, I think, South Pacific under this big tree that was in this yard. It was actually right here. It died and went away. So we're trying to reconfigure how we live. Now, what happens is on this house, there's a street, the road that runs right along here. And it's a busy road. And so they've planted this, they've got this fence that goes right here. Currently they go out the side of the house down to the road. And we're trying to reorient how you experience this house and how you come into this house. So I'm going to offer some suggestions of how we do that. This is currently their front entry, okay? And what I see as the opportunity is turning this design into something that's more New England, more historic. Now, this is the house from the side as you approach it. So this is the part of the house you experience as you drive up. There's an old portico. It's built in the early 1900s. It, to me, is this classic New England house that I've fallen in love with while I'm working on it. Now, this is kind of how I'm changing the front of this house, or the new front, the old side, is I'm putting a pediment in here. Right now there's, as you can see, there's just a little hip roof that goes over this. Because you are coming in from the house this way and experiencing it this way, I want you to be able to know that you've arrived kind of more at an important part of the house. Now, the existing front of the house looks like this, okay? So, in both situations, the house is rural in nature, right? The house doesn't have a pedimented front. It doesn't have a strong thing. You're essentially entering and experiencing this house on a porch. And so I don't see a problem with changing this experience, pedimenting that portico to kind of elevate this arrival point, right? You come in here, you come in this way, and when you come through this gate, right, I want you to start experiencing that rural, refined nature here. I want you to be driving along this road, seeing this fence and going, oh, that's nice. Oh, right? Expectations are up, right? There's a great book called Fences, okay? Exciting title, right? Basically, this guy, Peter Harrison, did this survey of colonial fences and colonial fences, and we have pictures and drawings like this, okay? So basically, he is gone, that's the John Paul Jones house. It's in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and that's how they, did their fence. This one is in the Governor Stephen Hopkins house, Providence, Rhode Island, right? And so if we look through this, you're gonna see a number of fence ideas, fence construction, right? And what he does an excellent job of is actually showing some of these amazing fences. These are in Virginia. And so, there's different levels of fences, right? There's board fences. There's things that you might see on a nice horse farm. He goes into the different piers. He goes into the finials, panels, how it's put together. It's an excellent book, okay? So I began to look at some of the great fences that I've seen in my travels, and certainly one of them is this one in Salem, where you see these wonderful piers where you've got a fluted column that supports an architrave, you have frieze, cornice, and then this beautiful turned and carved urn on top, right? I mean, that's elevated probably as much as you want to be able to go. But look what they've done. They actually have a base, right? They have the middle piece in here, and then they have these pickets coming through here. This is another house in Salem. Again, kind of this beautiful design. We've got kind of a three-piece part here. Look how that top handle lifts up there, but wonderful details there. There's the front of that house from a distance, right? You got 1, 2 piers to go in this side gate. You've got these strong piers there that kind of enter you to the face of the house, really orients you, really helps you kind of see. Look at this Gothic revival one in Salem. That too kind of conveys this countrified, natural setting with a little bit of refinement. So I want that experience to start here. And that's why you see I've got the front of this having kind of that kind of design we were just looking at. I've got wooden gates here that open up. Currently there's iron gates. You know, I love the gravel drive. I think that's really important. I want to keep that. I don't mind the hedge here. I'm elevating this with a little taller hedge here, and then that same hedge going across here. But notice I've changed the fence design. So I've oriented our eyes to the arrival point. I've oriented our eyes to that when you come in off this road, you come through those gates, you kind of have an elevated experience. Now, you can dial around this fence, right? If you think, you know, that kind of, this is a little bit too much, right? We can turn it down and go with a more board fence, but the wood fence is important. It sets us into a place and a time. It sets us up to what we're going to experience. So realize that there's a dial on that fence as far as whether it's just a picket fence or a board fence or however it's going to do, but there should be a point of arrival, right? And there should be an experience that we're having here that prepares us for what we're going to see. Now, I have then, once you arrive, once you come up this driveway, I want you to see the side of this house, which is a magnificent house, and realize that you're coming to the right place. And so by putting a pediment right on this porte-cochere, I am saying that you've gotten to the right place. Now, the other challenge that they have is with parking. And currently what's happening is their parking is under here, okay? So you drive down, you get into this parking area, then you have to walk up these stairs. It is a little far away. I also don't like how they've taken the proposed landscape plan has this as taking it away from the porte-cochere. And now it is a walkway and you're parking right up against the house. I don't like that either. I think that ruins the experience if there's a bunch of cars here that you're driving up here and it looks like a parking lot. So I don't want to do that. So what I'm proposing is that pulling a garage over to this side, okay, and kind of the pros and cons of doing that. One is we know there's a road here. It's a busy road. They've got a high fence here. You want to shield yourself from that. By putting an open garage here, okay, you are buffering that sound. You're putting your back to the street and opening this up. So this could be a charming little contributory garage that contributes to maybe looks like an outbuilding for this thing. Maybe it looks like a carport, an old garage, a barn, right? It could contribute to that, you know, rural Connecticut feel. So this might be in New York. So, it doesn't matter, right? It's still upper New England. It's still up in that area, but it contributes to that design idea. The other place to put a parking thing is over here, okay? Because there's a wall here, it drops down. And so I actually think that maybe moving this piece over here, you'd have to do a little bit of jumping through some hoops because you'd probably have to cantilever that over that item there. I'm worried about cost, but if you did that, you could park both ways. I don't know. I'm trying to think, but I don't want cars here. I've moved them to the side. And so there's some challenges here. One of the challenges is that if you look at the side of the house, right, currently this deck over this existing garage is rotted out, okay? So when this garage was added in, they've got this walkout deck here. It really doesn't work very well. And so this is an important piece and I want to, you know, elevate it a little bit. A bay window, okay? A bay window is kind of a 1950s late colonial revival kind of thing that doesn't really have a lot of historic precedent except, you know, after the 40s, especially in kitchen windows. It was done a lot in the 70s where you'd see the kitchen window kicked out. They put plants there and things like that. It isn't timeless, okay? And I've gone back with the 3-window design. And so what I'm showing is you still have great windows over the sink, but I'm doing a really low rail. I'm doing a stronger column, a bracket that catches it there, and then, you know, different railing out here. We're still going to have to figure out what happens to this space out here. But now, by elevating this piece and elevating the kitchen, when you drive up to the side of this house, you really do have an experience like a point of arrival where you feel like you're at the front of this house, right? There's a story here. There's a interesting narrative of what's going on. And so if there's an old barn or something over here, maybe the parking's this way, I still haven't detracted from this kind of main view. And then if you'll see, on this side over here, what they had was this wide stair that actually went over to here. I'm showing, again, a kind of a rural, I don't even feel like you need a handrail, but if you wanted to do a handrail, maybe you do something really light and simple going across here. But I am shortening this stair, okay, and still inviting. You still have a door that you can go in here. The main arrival point's over on this other side, and that's where I put the door, because there's a living room, basically right here in the house. And instead of coming in this opening here, we're going to be coming in this front door here. It's still arriving in the same room, just a different point in that room. So, I'm really not changing up too much that way. But so anyway, there's good options here. This is a lovely, wonderful little house, great charm, great New England charm that I love. And so elevating a few things, right? Doing this pediment, changing the way we experience when we arrive here, fixing, that kitchen piece and making it a little bit better. All are small little steps that I think make this house better. Let me know what you guys think.